So, JB, over the weekend, AOC was confronted, but there's been also other Democrat lawmakers being confronted about the crisis in Gaza, the genocide that's taking place there. Clearly, we're seeing, men, women, and children die. We're seeing the fact that the Biden administration knew full well what was happening there, even though AOC and Democrats would say, oh, no, they're working tirelessly for a ceasefire. I mean, how many times have you done segments where you were calling out the fact that there was a lackluster, mediocre, or dare I say it, absolute pathetic attempt by the Biden-Harris administration to do a ceasefire, all the while AOC and Bernie were carrying water for it? Take the floor, my friend.
I mean, yeah, especially in the the interviews with the State Department spokespeople, they basically were saying, "Well, we're concerned what's going on the ground, and we're talking to our people who are equals within the Israeli government, and we don't like to see what's going on, but Israel has a right to defend itself." And they always have to put that in, they have to plug that in. And it goes to show how really they were just BSing. They were BSing because they knew that it was unpopular. They knew that genocide is unpopular. But at the same time, because they wanted to keep the interests of Israel, well, really American interests through Israel, then of course they were going to do that. And they were going to try to cover it up, because remember what Joe Biden said many years ago? He said, if there was no Israel, United States would have to create an Israel to protect her interests in the region.
Exactly. And there's been a recent video here that just has been going viral for a little bit. AOC being confronted, and there's two different versions of it where AOC is being called out. But I first want to play this video because this was shared to us by Jose Vega. But I also have two other videos from the people who are part of the Colorado district. And yes, we even have commentary from corporate media talking about AOC being confronted.
And I want to know what you're doing about the genocide in Gaza. You are warfare. You are warfare. What are you doing? For Biden when he's committing a genocide. Oh my God, he's committing a genocide. The Democratic Party is already debating, funding a genocide in Gaza. I'm a nurse. Shame on you. What are you doing? What are you doing for the genocide in Gaza? You haven't done anything. You're not doing anything. Shame on you. You're a liar. You are a liar. You were telling us to vote for Biden.
So in case you're wondering, I tried to find this video because this was the more clear audio, but you could hear in the back there also there's people saying that she's part of LaRouche and that she's an infiltrator. I would say there's been a lot of people calling out AOC and Bernie, not only this year but especially all throughout last year. We're going to continue on to the rest of the video, but I want to pause here and just first of all, we got to acknowledge this. Anytime there's criticism towards the Democrats, people are booed. And I understand. I get it. Democrats are in an identity crisis trying to find out who they are and where they stand in the world. But they have absolutely nothing to stand on because of what they compromised and gave up throughout the entire 2024 election cycle. JB, your thoughts?
We are looking, because everybody uses the word genocide, which it is an appropriate word. But with the appropriate word being constantly used, is starting to lose its power and its strength and how often it's used. That's why I started calling it a 21st century Holocaust, because that's exactly what it is. We're literally witnessing a 21st century Holocaust.
Mhm.
And both parties are complicit. AOC is just as complicit as a Marjorie Taylor Greene, as a Josh Hawley, right?
Right.
And the fact is that young lady who's speaking, I don't care what side of the aisle she's on, she was correct in her critique of AOC and calling her out on supporting, even though she rhetorically says she wanted a ceasefire, she was supporting a 21st century Holocaust. Therefore, her complicity is contributing to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent people. And I have people in my mentions on Twitter going, well, we see you guys always critiquing the Democrats, but we don't see you critiquing the Republicans. And I'm like, because y'all don't pay attention. But we have been critiquing Republicans left and right. Why? Because we know that Republicans or Democrats are really just workmates under the same boss.
Yep.
And when you look at somebody like AOC, she's workmates with the same people who they decry as, oh my God, beyond the pale. They're workmates. And so AOC being called out like this, I fully agree with. And I think that she should have been called out even more. I wish somebody else, after the lady was exited out of the room, I wish somebody else stood up and then started yelling at AOC again. I wish 5 more people after that would have started doing the exact same thing systematically so that it runs the time clock, because people need to realize this must stop. If you are literally supporting someone who greenlights a Holocaust, you have no moral standing. You have no leg to stand on when it comes to this. You are a bad person. I'm drawing a line in the sand. If you are supporting these people, and you can say, well, the Republicans will be worse. Worse has already happened last year. Worse has already happened back in 2023. What the hell are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense to me. Look, I have seen the inside cavities of children because they have been mangled more than I can count. I have seen the entire inside of a skull of a child. And the crazy part is, these are the same people that would be, just like the Democratic National Convention, mocking, closing their ears. These are the same people that would be in this crowd that are telling her to shut up, shut up, shut up. Because the thing is, they want her to shut up because their silence is complicity in this. And that what makes it horrible. And so when we talk about liberals being just as bad, the other side, there is really no other side. They're all on the same side. It's just they play like they play the game. And so it's just horrible all around. And I feel like more of these politicians deserve to be called out like this.
Absolutely. Let's continue on to the rest of the video because there's a little bit more. And shout out to CB Applejack. Thank you for the Gators. Gators in the chat, as we should have him all the time, every time.
I more than welcome people who disagree or are maybe even super pissed off at me or any issue to come. But we have some ground rules here, which is that these pictures are Q&A because we don't want to deprive all of our neighbors of the ability to have information and hear things that respond to it.
Can you pause there?
We will pause it because I got something to share with you too. Go ahead, JB. Take the floor.
That's the game that they play. Oh, well, we have proper channels so that everybody gets respected. And then if you submit your question to them that's in opposition to what they're standing for, especially in complicity in the genocide, they won't bother to read the question.
Exactly.
They won't bother to actually answer it in good faith. So therefore, it gets lost. So we have to stand up and scream, and we have to filibuster them in order to be able to get a point across. because they won't pay attention to us otherwise. So no, we're not going to do some equivalent of a wrongly worded letter to you. No, the people have a right to get up and look. You decided to get that job. People have a right to get up in your face and say you are complicit in this. You are wrong. You deserve to be in The Hague.
Absolutely.
And she signed up for that. If she doesn't like it, quit.
Exactly.
Quit.
I also want to pull this up here too, because remember, when they were this is in Chicago last year.
U.S. babies, American-born babies, no vote.
13 years old. Nadia Kurdia, 13 years old.
Say it again. What's up?
Mock them again. Mock the camera out my face. Do it again. 18 years old. If they put me on the news, we're gonna have problems. They talking about dead people and they blogs. It's just they are. That's why he's telling me do it again. Mock.
So, first of all, I'm glad I found this full video. Somebody just private messaged me this because that clip was only just that clip, but at least we hear the other gentleman saying, hey, you can't be mocking dead kids. I just want to roll that again here. Just want to roll that here again here.
What's up?
Mock them again. Mock the camera out my face. Do it again. 18 years old. If they put me on the news, we're gonna have problems. They talking about dead people and they blogs. It's just they are. That's why he's telling me do it again. Mock the dead. I'm telling you, you mock the dead people. Now I'm gonna ask you to politely step away before I break that.
Of course, then he wanted to punch the camera. So there you go. You gotta love the activists and organizers who were there speaking out at the DNC convention. Go ahead, JB. Take the floor.
You know what? You know what sucks? That those were 3 black men right there. And they would be floored. They will be screaming at the top of their lungs at the people who mocked the death of George Floyd. And yet they're doing the exact same thing about Palestinians. Shame on them. Shame on them. Because the thing is, like, when we talk about an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere.
Yes.
And you're going to stand for that injustice, then that means you're willing to take some injustice against your own people. And so when it comes to as a black person, I got to call my own people out. Because a lot of black people will be like, oh, that ain't got nothing to do with us, when it has everything to do with us, because the same police that are trained over the same police that bash our heads in are the same people that are trained by the IDF over there. So, people like that, people mocking the deaths, no respect for life at all. And that's the Democratic Party.
Speaking of which, it was not only just AOC being confronted, but I also got this video from our good friends at Colorado District 7, CD7. They've had a long track record of confronting their Democrat lawmakers in the great state of Colorado doing protests, and they've been privately reaching out to me, sending me videos. And again, I'm just going to give this heads up to Colorado District 7. Your organization is growing. You guys are doing a hell of a great job confronting your Democrat lawmakers. My only bit of advice I will give you is beware when the Democrats come knocking on your door for the 2026 midterm election cycle. We already know that there's attempts by, David Hogg, who I feel will be kicked out of his vice chair seat. Then you have Cenk Uygur's Rebellion PAC, which, boy, shout out to my Discord audience for letting me an update of who Brianna Wu is and that entire fiasco. Holy cow. That was a hell of a documentary. See, that's why I love my party animals on Discord. And then finally, of course, you have AOC and Bernie Sanders Fight the Oligarchy tour. Do not fall for these sugar treats that those 3 organizations or one of those organizations will give you. Colorado District 7. I say focus on citizen ballot initiatives and supporting third parties, because this recently took place. And like you said, JB, we need more people to speak out. And while this didn't take place for AOC's town hall, this did take place in the great state of Colorado.
Why did you take $149,000 from AIPAC? I have a graduate degree.
We're taking questions from the audience.
$149,000 in lobbying. $149,000 in lobbying to commit war crimes. criminal court.
I told my fan club, but so
We have international law for a reason.
so absolutely, I want you to know that we're doing everything that we can. And some things we don't have the answers to. So when you say
We have the Geneva Convention for a reason.
we're going to do,
We have international law for a reason.
they don't have the majority of votes. That is where the power is. They don't have the majority. The majority falls squarely on one party.
Lesbian, human rights matter. All human rights matter.
Just because we're not in power does not
I'm not arresting. I'll come. 149,000.
what we have
I'll go.
is that we're fighting back in
I'll go.
we are bringing
Graduate degree in ethics and religion.
Wow. And there's one more indeed. So just one more. And then we got something from Case Study QB where Fox News is talking about AOC being confronted because, you know, we have to be fair and balanced and see all sides of the aisles.
There's always going to be excuses. There's always going to be a parliamentarian running into a halt like the Republicans did.
Yes, but what I'm saying is we are a majority. Just
I'd love to see your
because we're not in
questions
power
that
does not
you
mean we're
wouldn't actually have anyone answer.
Have a nice day.
There's always going to be excuses.
All right, we're going to pause here. JB, your thoughts.
So to the first lady that was yelling, I think it was a mayor, I think it was.
Yeah.
The fact is that the mayor, she can hide behind her identity, but it's like hiding behind a sheer curtain. We can still see you. It doesn't matter. And so the fact is that she's taking money from AIPAC. I would love to see people react if there was a political action committee that was funded by China and that they were getting their money from, and how they would react to that. Or if there was a PAC that was funded by Russia, how they would react to that. And yet somehow it seems to be okay because it's Israel. France doesn't have a PAC in America. Germany doesn't have a PAC. Italy doesn't have a PAC. Japan doesn't have a PAC, but Israel does? That doesn't sound very on the up and up.
Precisely.
And so, I mean, the fact that, you know, she was trying to say, oh, there's really, you know, there's nothing we can do. You know, we just don't, you know, we can't. There's not much that could be done about it. Yeah, there is. It's called an arms embargo. We have the answers, but the problem is that they don't want to do what the answer is, because that means it questions their power. And you know, the United States really can't have that, because Israel. And a lot of times, people get this kind of flipped. They'll say that Israel is controlling the United States. No, the United States controls Israel, because Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson actually talked about it with Danny Haiphong, and he said people think that Israel is controlling America when America controls Israel. Israel is really just a military outpost for the United States. And so ultimately, when it comes to how we view Israel, we should view it as nothing but a U.S. outpost, military outpost, nothing more, nothing less. And so they're committing an atrocity against the indigenous population, and we should stand on business and oppose it. And the fact is that people are standing on business and opposing it, but both parties want to keep that outpost in place because ultimately, it's about the money. It's about the resources in the area. And,
Agreed.
Morals be damned.
Gotcha, man. And I do want to pull up this video here from Case Study QB because you're going to have Fox News mocking AOC and not looking at the bigger picture because, hey, last I remember during the election cycle, Trump was promising a ceasefire, not only Ukraine, but somewhat sort of kind of making a fingers crossed promise about a ceasefire in Gaza, which was never going to happen. Riviera in the Middle East, foundation built on the dead, bones and blood. What a wonderful Riviera.
So things got a little heated last night at a town hall held by New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. An anti-Israel protester shouted her down and accused her of being a, quote, war criminal. It's just the latest confrontation between Democrats and their constituents. Madeline Rivera has the story. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was holding a town hall in Queens, New York. Ocasio-Cortez was only a few minutes into the event. She was in the middle of talking about the potential impacts the Trump administration and DOJ may have on her district's healthcare systems when an attendee started protesting about the war in Gaza. AOC is fresh from joining Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders on their Fight Oligarchy tour. Progressives are calling for her to run for higher office and potentially challenge Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer when he's up for re-election in 2028. While she hasn't said if she would, her team is touting her fundraising numbers. They say she raised more than $9 million in the first 3 months of the year, her strongest quarter ever, with more than 200,000 individual donors. But Vice President J.D. Vance suggests the Democratic Party has a bigger leadership problem.
President AOC, the stuff of nightmares, Brett. Thank you. You've ruined my sleep for this evening. I think to the extent that Democrats have a leader, Donald J. Trump is the leader of the Democratic Party
against him
because they're just against everything that he does.
During her event, AOC also challenged border czar Tom Homan to, quote, comfort her.
All right.
After
And so now there's the distraction. Why did I play this video? Well, first of all, there's the great distraction of, oh, look at how the Democrats are screwing up. And of course they are screwing up. But this once again shows us how AOC and Bernie had a golden opportunity, yes, even under the Biden-Harris administration, hypothetically, theoretically, to get change done, and they chose not to. But notice how active they're fighting now. They got the green light to fight now. And yet, I'm so glad that there's people with their sense of smell who are able to smell out the BS from Bernie and AOC, because where was this action 4 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, where was this action back in 2023 after October 7th? Because it could have happened. They could have said, well, you know what? We have an oligarchy that has interests throughout the region. And so therefore we must challenge both parties, and they should go so far as to say we need to leave both parties.
Exactly.
AOC could have been the first in line to go, you know what? I'm changing my party registration from Democrat to independent. But for her, the lifestyle and the money is too good. So therefore she has to stay. And so ultimately they will think that, oh, well, the best vehicle we have is the Democrats. That's like trying to choose between a tree stump and a rock to go from here to in Florida to California. You can sit on that tree stump and you can sit on that rock, but both of them are not going to get you anywhere, right? Yeah. Versus you may have a tricycle, which is a third party or independent, but at least you're moving somewhere, you know? And unfortunately, they people are fooled by thinking, well, the rock is going to roll. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just silly. And the fact is that Fox News is doing this is really just trying to play the partisanship, when in reality, I mean, Donald Trump is really doing the exact same thing, so they aren't going to point that out. They're not going to point out how Donald Trump is just as complicit in this genocide as Joe Biden, just as Kamala Harris is, but they won't admit to it.
I think as a final note for this, it takes a lot of courage to speak out against a crowd, especially those who are hero worshiping people like AOC and Bernie. Look, the Republicans got the problem there too, but we got to break away from the two-party system. Failure to do so will cause damage. Failure to do so will be the end of us. And if we don't wake up to reality, we're going to be repeating everything over again. And I'm just going to give this warning that I said on Matt Weinglass's show. Do you have any idea how much shite we're all going to get by being critical of AOC for 2028 presidential run? I mean, it's not going to be pretty, JB. It's just not going to be, especially if she captures the lightning bolt in the moment, like how Bernie captured it in 2016. It's going to be a roller coaster, but at least we'll be in it together, my friend.